In the gripping climax of the latest episode, Dohee finds herself seated on a bench, consumed by stress, indulging in chocolates. Suddenly, Jun-one startles her with an abrupt question, piercing the tense silence. "What are you doing here alone?" His unexpected intrusion disrupts her solitude. Snatching a piece of chocolate, he wears a mischievous grin, observing that she's behaving like someone who's lost everything. Locking eyes with Dohee, Jun-one daringly reaches out, his hand finding its way to her face, then daringly tracing the outline of her lips. But Dohee reacts swiftly, slapping his hand away, demanding an explanation for his audacity. She hastily wipes her lips with a handkerchief, intent on escaping the uncomfortable encounter. Jun-one, however, persists, suggesting he thought she was in tears this time. The words strike a nerve with Dohee, reminding her of their first meeting. Shocked, she tries to brush it off as mere coincidence, refusing to believe Jun-one could remember anything from before the time loop. With a soft retort, she asserts her resilience, declaring she doesn't shed tears over trivial matters, dismissing it as mere adolescent behavior. Attempting to leave, Dohee is halted in her tracks as Jun-one interjects, praising her accomplishments. He acknowledges the challenges she must have faced, working under a boss who discriminates based on gender. Expressing his admiration, Jun-one extends his respect to Dohee, recognizing her as an exceptional individual with remarkable capabilities. This unexpected praise catches Dohee off guard, prompting her to reassess her initial judgment of Jun-one. Feeling a pang of remorse for her earlier dismissiveness, she extends her hand in acknowledgement, recognizing Jun-one's leadership qualities. She yearns for the professional collaboration she now anticipates with him. As they exchange a handshake, the moment takes an unexpected turn as Jun-one pulls her closer, hinting at a shift in their dynamic. Dohee was utterly bewildered by Jun-one's actions. As he pulled her closer, his lips hovered near her ear, whispering something mysterious. That evening, Dohee met young Nuri for drinks, but Nuri intervened, preventing her from excessive drinking. Suddenly, a tall figure entered the hotel, masked and instantly recognized as the renowned golfer Kang-eun. Murmurs erupted as he arrived an hour late, prompting a scolding from Nuri. Un apologized, citing extended training as his excuse, then approached Dohee, attempting to rouse her. Nuri couldn't comprehend why Dohee was drowning her sorrows without explanation, speculating if it was due to her dissatisfaction with the new team leader. Dohee, partially coming to her senses, questioned Un about quitting her job. Un recoiled slightly, advising against such a drastic decision, reminding her of the effort she had put into securing her position. He questioned if the new team leader was causing her so much distress that she'd consider leaving. Despite Un's counsel, Dohee took another shot, deflecting the question and excusing herself to the bathroom. Alone in the restroom, as she splashed water on her face, fragments of the day played in her mind. She recalled Jun-won's gentle yet probing question, why did she persist in feigning ignorance? His reminder of their shared experience in Lafayette Hotel room number 2005 echoed in her thoughts, challenging her denial of their connection. Jun-one presses Dohee further, his tone laced with disbelief. Is she truly going to persist in this charade of forgetfulness? It's been a whole year since their last encounter. Inquiring about her well-being, he unveils her true identity as Baek Dohee, questioning the mismatch of the name Yun Nuri with her essence. Dohee forcefully shoves Jun-one away, her frustration boiling over. She retorts sharply, questioning if he's been indulging in daytime drinking. With raised voices, she rebukes his audacity in suggesting they slept together. Uncertain of his motives, she deems his words utterly inappropriate. With a final, firm declaration, she vows to ignore his insinuations, lest they both drown in discomfort. As Dohee storms away, Jun-one remains rooted to the spot, silently absorbing her words. Meanwhile, Dohee's mind races with questions. How could Jun-one possibly remember her? Shouldn't his memory have reset like hers with each time loop? The thought that Jun-one might also be experiencing the same time loops sends a shiver down her spine. But she swiftly dismisses such notions as madness, overwhelmed by the complexity of it all. Suddenly, a pounding headache grips Dohee, her eyes growing heavy as she succumbs to the overwhelming tumult of her thoughts. As Dohee slowly regains consciousness, she finds herself being carried on Un's back. Startled, she meets his gaze, and he explains the situation. Upon noticing her prolonged absence from the bathroom, he sent Nuri to investigate, only to find her slumped against the wall in slumber. Dohee is mortified by her own behavior. With a wry grin, Un offers some advice, acknowledging he doesn't fully grasp her situation but suggesting that if she can't avoid it, she might as well try to find some enjoyment in it. Annoyed, Dohee scoffs at the notion, insisting there's nothing enjoyable about her current predicament. Un persists, suggesting that if enjoyment eludes her, avoidance might be her best course of action. After all, in this modern era, forcing confrontations is often futile. He probes further, asking what could possibly make the seemingly invincible Baek Dohee tremble with fear. With a heavy sigh, Dohee admits it's a man she's desperate to avoid. The revelation catches Un off guard, leaving him momentarily speechless. The next day, Dohee's resolve to heed Un's advice burns fiercely within her. Determined to either find enjoyment or avoid the situation altogether, she braces herself for the inevitable challenge of confronting Jun-one. Yet, the daunting reality sets in: they share not just the same company, but the same office and department. Avoiding Jun-one feels like an insurmountable task, a Herculean feat she must conquer. Despite the odds stacked against her, Dohee refuses to relent. With steely determination, she employs every tactic in her arsenal to sidestep any interaction with Jun-one. But he, too, proves to be a formidable adversary, his persistence relentless as he initiates small talk with Dohee, fabricating excuses about work to breach her defenses. As the day wears on, Dohee's desperation grows. In a final act of defiance, she resolves to outlast Jun-one, opting to stay late into the evening to avoid their synchronous departures. Yet, her hopes are dashed when she discovers Jun-one lingering in the office long after hours. Defeated but undeterred, Dohee begrudgingly concedes defeat and makes her exit. However, her departure does not go unnoticed by Jun-one, who seemingly exits the office simultaneously. Suspicion gnaws at Dohee's mind as she contemplates the orchestrated nature of their simultaneous departures. Frantically, she scrambles for an excuse to prolong her stay or evade Jun-one's company. Her mind races with potential ploys. Perhaps she could feign forgetting her cell phone at her desk or fabricate an unfinished task. But before she can enact her plan, Jun-one interjects, questioning her reluctance to board the elevator. Caught off guard, Dohee fumbles for an explanation, blurting out a nonsensical excuse about an unfinished cell phone. Her embarrassment mounts as Jun-one points out the device in her hand, prompting a hasty correction from Dohee. In the confines of the elevator, Jun-one confronts Dohee, his words piercing through the tense silence. He questions the duration of her avoidance, highlighting the potential repercussions it might have on their team dynamics. His tone carries a hint of fascination, marveling at his own ability to retain memories from their shared past, a phenomenon that defies the norm. With a casual invitation to share a drink, Jun-one unwittingly sets off a chain reaction. Those seemingly innocuous words unravel a torrent of emotions within Dohee, from despair to fervent passion, culminating in deep regret. This time, however, she resolves to resist the impulse, declining his offer with a firm tone. Yet, even as she rebuffs him, Dohee finds herself grappling with an inexplicable urge to act impulsively, a lingering echo of their tumultuous history. And with a final retort, she veers away from elegance, opting instead for the simple comfort of scallion pancakes and soju, a stark contrast to her usual demeanor. Jun-one's grin widens at her response, perhaps sensing the subtle shift in their dynamic. At the hotel, Jun-one opens up to Dohee, recounting how on September 21st, when the loop repeated itself, he anticipated seeing her again at the restaurant. Instead, he was met by someone else, adamant about being young Nuri. His confusion deepened when Dohee failed to appear, leading him to speculate if she, too, was trapped in a time loop. The memory triggers a realization for Dohee, recalling Nuri's cryptic text from that fateful day. Jun-one's revelation continues, acknowledging Dohee as the first person he's encountered who shares his experience of time loops. The revelation leaves Dohee both fascinated and stunned, but also oddly relieved to find someone who understands her plight. In the throes of a time loop, individuals often feel like mindless puppets, endlessly repeating actions without understanding why. Dohee had questioned her sanity countless times, but Jun-one's confirmation offers a semblance of validation. As the conversation unfolds, Jun-one's inquiry about Dohee's past year weighs heavily. He reveals the extent of his own turmoil during her absence, confessing that her absence derailed his plans for marriage and consumed his thoughts relentlessly. He spent the entire year searching for her, unable to shake her from his mind, even finding her presence haunting his dreams. The revelation hits Dohee with a wave of mixed emotions, realizing the impact her absence had on Jun-one's life. Dohee confronts Jun-one, questioning why he went to such lengths to find her. Couldn't he have simply ignored the situation and moved on, allowing them to part ways without further complication? In response, Jun-one extends his hand, a silent reminder of his steadfast resolve to see things through once he's made a decision. Before Jun-one's hand can touch her face, Dohee slaps it away, reminding him of their agreement at the hotel. She had made it clear that if their encounter didn't amount to love, they would part ways without hesitation. But Jun-one refuses to let go, squeezing Dohee's hand gently as he probes whether she truly feels nothing for him. Dohee's exasperation mounts as she questions if Jun-one is now going to spout clichés about falling for her. Jun-one withdraws his hand, admitting his struggle with uncertainty. In his life, he's always seen things in terms of absolutes, but she defies such categorization. Faced with the ambiguity of their relationship, Jun-one seeks clarity. Finally, Do-hee breaks her silence, asserting that their encounter was nothing more than a collision of unexpected coincidences. If they had simply moved on, the incident would have faded into the past. Jun-won's pursuit of her threatens to upend the life he had planned with the real Nuri, not her. Jun-won's admission resonates with Do-hee as she listens to him, his words echoing with newfound weight and depth. He confesses that since getting to know her, the once light concepts of love and marriage have taken on a profound significance. No longer mere trivialities, these sentiments now bear a heavy burden, making it impossible for him to speak of them casually. Do-hee absorbs his words, recognizing the stark contrast between her own nonchalant demeanor and Jun-won's newfound solemnity towards matters of the heart. With a sense of apprehension, Do-hee acknowledges the potential pitfalls of getting involved with Jun-one. She grapples with uncertainty, unable to predict the consequences of such entanglement. Rising from her chair, she offers a hesitant apology, urging Jun-one to simply erase their encounter from their shared memory. But Jun-won's frustration simmers beneath the surface, his clenched fists betraying the intensity of his emotions. He laments the inescapable nature of human memory, understanding that pretending their meeting never occurred would require erasing Do-hee from his mind, a feat as impossible as it is agonizing. To her, it holds little weight in the grand scheme of things, especially now that they're no longer the carefree youths they once were. With a resolute tone, she declares her intention to move forward, urging Jun-one to view her solely as a colleague. As she begins to leave, she implores him to embrace their new dynamic, where he is her chief manager, and she is merely a subordinate. Jun-won's interruption halts Do-hee's departure, prompting him to recall her earlier observations about his demeanor. He confesses that, truth be told, he often feels devoid of emotions, rarely experiencing the highs and lows that typically accompany human experiences. Yet, Do-hee has always seemed to penetrate his emotional armor, standing out as an exception in his otherwise detached existence. Do-hee, taken aback by Jun-won's candid admission, questions the source of his concern for her. Jun-won's response is simple yet profound. He sees her unhappiness mirrored in his own soul, recognizing a shared sense of discontent between them. However, Do-hee's reaction is tinged with skepticism and self-deprecation. She scoffs at the notion that her unhappiness could be perceived as attractive, finding the idea far from flattering. In a moment of defiance, Do-hee challenges Jun-won's perceived pity, questioning his right to judge or pity her. As Do-hee emerges from the restaurant, she reassures herself that everything that occurred on a whim is now firmly behind her. The warm sunlight streaming through the window bathes the room in a comforting glow, and the soft pillow and blanket envelop her in a cocoon of coziness. A pleasant aroma fills the air, adding to her sense of contentment. However, her peaceful reverie is shattered when she feels the warmth of someone's touch beside her. Startled, Do-hee's eyes fly open to find Jun-one lying in the same bed as her. Shock courses through her as she grapples with the realization that she has once again found herself in a compromising situation with him, despite having no memory of how she got there. Her mind races, questioning how she could have possibly ended up in this situation again. She recalls meeting Jun-one the previous night and receiving a call from Nuri, leading to a night of heavy drinking and blurred memories. Jun-won's whispered words pierce the silence, reminding Do-hee of the events she can't recall. His casual demeanor only adds to her bewilderment, leaving her struggling to make sense of the situation. As he teases her about trying to remember their shared experiences, Do-hee is left grappling with the unsettling reality of her memory lapse and the implications of her continued entanglement with Jun-one. When Jun-one first laid eyes on Do-hee, he saw nothing more than a pretty face paired with what he assumed to be a disagreeable personality. His initial impression of her left him with no desire for further inquiry. He had a singular goal in mind: to find a suitable bride for marriage. For Jun-one, the ideal partner was one who harbored no expectations from him, neither for love nor attention. Despite entertaining numerous prospects and engaging in discussions about marriage, Jun-one found himself repeatedly disappointed. Each candidate ultimately revealed desires for affection or emotional connection, traits that clashed with Jun-one's uncomplicated criteria. However, Do-hee shattered Jun-one's preconceived notions with the unexpected force of her words. In a single moment, she pierced through his defenses, leaving him feeling exposed and vulnerable. So let's get to know about Jun-one a bit. As a child, Jun-one harbored a singular desire: to become a normal person. Emotionally detached from the world around him, he struggled to comprehend the depth of human feelings, unable to experience the full spectrum of emotions like others did. It wasn't until adulthood dawned upon him that Jun-one realized the extent of his emotional deficiencies, leaving him resigned to a life devoid of true happiness. In Do-hee, Jun-one saw a kindred spirit, a fellow traveler in the realm of emotional emptiness. Though she appeared composed on the surface, Jun-one sensed a profound loneliness lurking beneath her facade, hidden from the world but unmistakably present in her tears. Their night together in room 2005 of the Laviat Hotel left an indelible mark on Jun-won's psyche, a fleeting moment of connection amidst the chaos of the time loop. Yet, as quickly as it had come, their encounter vanished into the ether, leaving Jun-one with lingering questions and a sense of yearning. Over the course of 2 decades trapped in the relentless cycle of time, Dohee stood out as the sole individual who defied repetition, opting to steer clear of Jun-one's path. Despite the passage of time, Jun-one remained fixated on her memory, haunted by unanswered questions and an unspoken desire to reconnect. And so, it took a full year for fate to reunite Jun-one and Dohee, their paths converging once more on September 22. When Jun-one crossed paths with Kang Ji-yup, the manager of the KSS product development team, during drinks, he received a warning that sent ripples of unease through him. Ji-yup cautioned Jun-one to tread carefully around Baek Dohee, insinuating that her feelings toward him might not be as favorable as they once were. Intrigued by Ji-yup's insights, Jun-one probed further, questioning whether Ji-yup truly understood Dohee. In response, Ji-yup painted a picture of Dohee as a revered figure within the company, a star player admired by colleagues and esteemed by upper management. She possessed not only exceptional professional acumen but also an intuitive knack for discerning whose leadership to follow. However, Ji-yup's portrayal of Dohee took a darker turn as he delved into her personal background. He speculated that she hailed from a prestigious family, likely an only child accustomed to a life of privilege. Despite her outwardly affable demeanor, Ji-yup cautioned Jun-one against underestimating her, describing her as a formidable presence capable of intimidating even the boldest suitors. Numerous men, he recounted, had abandoned their advances in shame after encountering her steely resolve. While others saw Dohee as a formidable and enigmatic figure, Jun-one couldn't shake the feeling that he alone possessed a deeper understanding of her. Despite his typically reserved nature, Dohee had a peculiar ability to elicit emotional responses from him, a phenomenon that left Jun-one both intrigued and unsettled. In that moment, Jun-one realized that his connection with Dohee transcended mere professional dynamics, hinting at a complexity that defied easy categorization. After their meeting with Dohee at the restaurant, Jun-one found himself in a taxi on his way home when he abruptly instructed the driver to halt. Lo and behold, Nuri emerged nearby, her memory hazy as she mistakenly referred to Jun-one as Jun-one. Quick to correct her, Jun-one asserted his identity as Co Jun-one. However, his attention swiftly turned to the unsettling sight of Dohee, unconscious on a nearby bench. Puzzled by her condition, Jun-one queried Nuri, who inquired about their relationship. Jun-one's response was brief yet revealing: they were colleagues, masking the intricacies of their connection. As Nuri's phone clamored for attention, Jun-one urged her to answer, recognizing the pressing nature of familial responsibilities. Upon learning of Nuri's midnight curfew, Jun-one took charge, offering to ensure Dohee's safety while Nuri made her way home. With a reluctant nod, Nuri departed, leaving Jun-one to tend to the enigmatic Dohee. In the midst of his efforts to rouse her, Dohee's phone rang, signaling an incoming call. Jun-one's intrigue mounted as he answered, only to be met with Eun's urgent inquiry about Dohee's whereabouts. A realization dawned on Jun-one: the friend coming to collect Nuri was, in fact, a man. As Jun-one mulled over this revelation, Dohee's phone abruptly powered down, succumbing to a drained battery. Simultaneously, rain began to fall from the sky, casting an eerie atmosphere over the scene. Jun-one's gaze lingered on the unconscious figure of Dohee, now vulnerable to the elements, prompting a surge of concern and determination within him to ensure her well-being amidst the downpour.